Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. The first public TV channel, the ARD, will install now a new Politkommissar into their program. Yeah, so a young female face, of course, and it is colorful, of course, it has to be. And today, in this video, I want to talk a little bit about this new Politkommissar, this new officer for propaganda and agitation that the public broadcasting is paying with our radio fee money, with our contributions. Not freely, we pay these, of course, but it is a case of coercion. You all know this. If you follow my channel in Germany, the public broadcasting is funded by a household fee that everybody who has an address in Germany has to pay, whether they actually consume this program or not, or whether they want or not, doesn't matter. If you have an address, then you generally pay. And so today I want to introduce that person, Miss Abode, I don't know how to pronounce this exotic name, but I do not want to talk about people on my channel generally, okay? So you all know that if I talk about people, it's either because they're very important, like Angela Merkel, for example, that is a important person, of course, or I use that as a starting point in order to explain how things work in Germany to you. And that is the case in today's video. I want to use this personal change now, this personnel change, the new spot for a Politkommissar in the ARD. I want to use that as a starting point for telling you, explaining to you how these things work and what is going on in our public broadcasting at the moment. And it is very interesting if you look at the CV, I should say, or actually just a couple of interviews that were done with this lady. And I want to tell you exactly what is going on there. So my first impression was when you look into her face or when you hear that name, then you think, oh, that must be a disciple of the Arab Muhammad. But that is not true. She is actually the daughter of a Eastern German mother and a Christian man from Lebanon. Okay, so in the Middle East there are various Christian groups or sects. For example, I worked together. I have knowledge of people. I have acquaintances from Lebanon, and one lady is a Maronite Christian, for example. The Maronites are not technically Roman Catholic, but they're very close to it. And I think the Maronite Church is also somehow affiliated with the Roman Catholic Church, but I was explained it in a way that they're basically Catholics. Anyway, so, and then there is another female that is very active and a household name right now in the German public broadcasting, and that is Miss Hayali. And she is from, I think, a Chaldean Christian family or something. So it is interesting that these Middle Eastern women from Christian families, and I'm phrasing that very carefully here because these women are not Christians, of course. I mean, oh, I cannot speak for them. Oh, yes, I kind of can, because both of these women, and they're the only ones I've researched now, but in the public broadcasting, when it comes to these news anchors and these casters and stuff like that, there are a lot of foreign names, let's say, okay? And many, many Middle Eastern names. And they're pretty much overrepresented in public broadcasting with respect to, well, just the population in Germany. So even if you say they shouldn't all be German just because we're in Germany, if you are for fair representation, if you go by these news anchors and these TV personalities, you would think that like half of the population in Germany is Arabic or something, which is of course not true. Anyway, so these two women are both Middle Eastern Christians or from Christian families. Yeah? And that has its reasons, and I want to explain that today. So her story or her background is interesting in that way. She was born in the year 1988, um, and that makes her 33 years old right now. So that means she's pretty young. And she was a 1 year old baby, I think, when the Berlin Wall came down. So she didn't experience the GDR and the communist regime there whatsoever. However, in interviews, she praises communism for its achievements and, in many ways, their superior society. For example, that women were forced to work. She says that was an achievement. And by the way, nobody was really forced. These women wanted to work. No woman in the GDR wanted to stay with their family, of course. Oh, yeah, sure. And then daycare was so much more advanced and blah, blah, blah. And but nevertheless, she is for women's quotas. That is very important because she has learned now in the West, after her 1 year of life in the East, she has learned now how things are going in the unified Germany, right? Yeah. So you can already tell by that she is promoting communism. Of course, not the old Soviet communism, maybe, but the Green Party progressive China style, mainland China, People's Republic of China style, modern communism. And that is very important. So, this is exactly what Angela Merkel, who also grew up in Eastern Germany, by the way, and who even studied in Moscow. So they all try to tell you that, oh, Angela Merkel was actually apolitical. She was officer for propaganda and agitation. Yeah, just exactly like this young lady, um, and just in a different regime, of course. And they want to tell you that, oh, she was just a physicist working in a research department. No, 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 no. She was a hardcore, loyal communist, very active actually. And surprise, surprise, after many years of Merkel rule, we get to see more and more positions in the public sector and in our state. I still say our state. I'm not so sure if it's still our state. These positions are filled with people who promote this new adapted style of communism and who praise communism. So the German public broadcasting was praising Chairman Mao for his foresight and for his courageous politics. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Yeah. So now coming back to the question, why so many Middle Eastern young women from these yeah, partly at least Middle Eastern background and partly at least from Christian families. And once again, I don't think they are Christians. If they were actual Christians, they wouldn't promote degeneracy and communism. But so why is that? It's very easy. So if you have a young woman who is a uh, somewhat serious believer in the ideology of Mohammedanism, you will not probably find that woman be, espousing or promoting very progressive postmodern ideas. Many of these women are very traditional, very conservative, and they just want to have kids and a family. So, unless they are truly warriors and they see that as some kind of a ruse, some kind of like a trick in order to weaken the morale, um, the health of our society, so that they can more easily take it over. Then that might be somewhat rational, but you have to be really deep down in the trenches in order to think like that. And you probably don't find a lot who are willing to do that. So that means the best choice for these directors and these decision makers is to hire and use as Politkommissars these relatively young women from Christian Middle Eastern families. Because they're not Christians anymore, of course. They're just They're just postmodern people. They're just millennials, right? And they are communist to the bone. Yeah, they praise the GDR, they praise communist regimes, and they want to transform our society into a communist regime fully. Yeah, so that women cannot stay with their children anymore, that they're forced to work. Maybe 1 week after delivery, it's back to the office. You cannot stay with your child even though you have money. You're not allowed. It's antisocial, they say. Yeah. So these are the kinds of women, these are the kinds of people that are installed here as Politkommissars. They are officers that are responsible for anti-European propaganda, and we have to pay for it. Okay? And I think she starts in August, and yeah, then she can tell everyone about how great the GDR was and how great diversity is. So, and one more little detail: she didn't start out, of course, as the great Politkommissar of the ARD. No, as a well, in her younger days, let's say, she started or she worked at Funk. Yeah. She was posing as a YouTuber. She was working for the German public broadcasting, and I should actually say for the German state, for the German regime. She was working as a fake YouTuber, a pretend YouTuber. You must know that Funk is a network. It's spelled like Funk, Funk, and it means, yeah, Funk means radio in German, right? Broadcasting, radio. So, and they are a conglomerate of several YouTube channels, Instagram accounts, Facebook groups, it's social media basically. This is the public broadcasting, household fee funded, so tax funded basically, social media group of yeah the propagandistic effort of the Merkel regime. And so she was acting as an employee of the state, yeah, as a fake YouTuber for this network Funk. Funk is every year they receive 45 million euros from those household fees that were last year over 8 billion euros. Yeah, so a couple of YouTube channels and Instagram and Facebook sites funded by the German households with 45 million euros a year. And then they spread propaganda, and their target audience is 14 to 29-year-olds, I believe I've read. So they're targeting young people, and many of these young people, they don't know what Funk is. They don't know that these are actual propaganda officers. They think that, oh, this looks like the room of a teenager. Oh, this is a YouTuber, just a guy with a camera and a microphone, and he talks about stuff, and it's really funny and hip. No, no, no. These are employees of the public broadcasting. They are also yeah, young Politkommissars, I would say. And now she made the transition from a junior Politkommissar to a senior Politkommissar, and she will be an anchor or a newscaster at the format Tagesthemen on the first public TV channel in Germany. All right, so I hope that this video, this little presentation, this little talk helped you a little bit, not just because she's important, she's not important, but it is highlighting, it is explaining, it is giving a face to these ideologies, to these events, these mechanisms that we see at play here in Germany, how they transform our society to a, well, a open and colorful and communist society. Enjoy the rest of your day. Servus, Kameraden.